Sandy, campers are reminded of just how close they really are to civilization as the rumbling of distant logging trucks and heavy machines drifts across the lake. Just outside the southern park boundary, a forestry company is busy stripping the timber off the hills. Sandy narrows at its western end to become the Caribou again. At the lake's outlet, paddlers are hardly aware of the river's current. But as this stretch of the Caribou runs on, the current freshens, carrying boats along at a good clip. About 3.6 kilometers from Sandy Lake, canoeists have the option of turning north into Babcock Creek to begin the last leg of the journey, or following the river as it begins its southbound rush before plunging over Caribou Falls. Some canoeists, hearing the call of a hot shower and store-bought cheeseburger a day's paddle away, opt to continue on their northerly route. But in doing so, they will miss the centerpiece of the entire park, spectacular 24-meter Caribou Falls. Several hundred meters past Babcock Creek, watching for the entrance to Una Lake on the left bank. Paddling beyond Una's entrance not only contravenes park's regulations, but is sheer insanity. The Caribou's current here becomes too powerful to paddle against, making it impossible to turn back. Catastrophe awaits the careless. Paddle to the south end of this tiny jewel, cache your gear and walk the 1.5 kilometer trail to the falls. Here, the Caribou River leaps 24 meters in a display of humbling power before continuing on its way south toward the Quesnel River, which eventually joins the Fraser at Quesnel. Circuit's lovelier spots. Many canoeists lay over here to explore nearby Rum Lake and Reet and Jean Lake southeast of the falls. On leaving Una, paddlers travel back 400 meters against the strong Caribou current to the entrance of Babcock Creek. The 1.2 kilometer creek can be paddled for only the first few hundred meters before the real fun begins. Eventually, it becomes little more than a shallow stream. Canoeists must roll up their pants and line their boats through the shallows. 2.8 kilometer long Babcock Lake is a favorite among moose watchers as the ungulates come to browse on the plentiful aquatic lake plants. Babcock also produces some fine Dolly Varden char. The 400-meter portage from Babcock to tiny Squaw Lake is a delightful contrast to the marathon slogs encountered earlier on the circuit and take only minutes to complete. The Squaw Lake portages divide two of the circuit's vast watersheds. The Caribou River drains the southern portion of the park, while Spectacle Lake flows north into the upper Bowron, which joins the Fraser near Penny in the Rocky Mountain Trench. A half-kilometer paddle across Buggy's Squaw brings paddlers to another easy 400-meter carry into Spectacle Lakes. Kilometer-long Spectacle and Swan Lakes are quite unique in character. Unlike the rugged mountain lakes of the eastern and southern section, a quiet serenity permeates the area here. These lakes are shallow and warm. Indeed, the area has been dubbed the Riviera of the Caribou by locals. leg of the trip include the site at the First Narrows and Pat Point. Just north of the Narrows at the beginning of 5-kilometer-long Swan Lake is Pavich Island, originally called Dead Man's Island for the many Takuli Indians who died here of smallpox a century ago. At the north end of Swan Lake are two bays. Birch Bay on the right has two campsites. The channel on the left leads homeward into the Bowron River and marsh, a birdwatcher's paradise. Upstream is grizzly country. The great bears come down to the river every August when the sockeye salmon return to their birthplace to spawn. The upper Bowron is closed to canoeists from mid-August to protect both humans and bears from traumatic encounters with each other. The last lake of the circuit is Bowron itself. Some may feel that it's an anticlimax to the grand adventure of the last week or so. On Bowron, canoeists share the lake with powerboats, and private cabins and lodges line the banks at the top end. Canoeists make their way to the government dock at the northeast end of the lake. Here, a short but steep trail takes paddlers back to the parking lot, where they left their vehicles a week or so ago. Circuit travelers must remember to deposit their garbage in designated spots and check in at the registration center before departing. Provincial Park, for all its high traffic, is nonetheless a magnificent wilderness, a lush oasis in an otherwise scarred and desolate landscape. In all directions, the surrounding hills and mountains have been stripped naked by profiteers who have decimated more than 21,000 hectares of the Quesnel Forest District, making it one of the largest clear-cut forests in North America. It's easy to understand why lovers of the wild come to the lakes by the thousands every season. They come to test themselves against the weather and the water and the portages. And they come to touch the wild while there's still some left to touch.